Whether born male or female, a royal heir, or just a simple subject, not all newborns will have the same destiny. It'll depend on the type of education and special favors the elders give each one of them. If brothers and sisters grow up side by side during the first months of their lives, when puberty and its slew of sexual impulses strike, their planets will inevitably set off on different trajectories. So, when the time comes, who will be better equipped to enter adulthood and become a good catch? Male or female?
They can be sexy, gorgeous, even totally irresistible. But on the savannah, males are also unpredictable.
They can be sensual, extremely desirable, true temptresses. But oh, can they be complicated?
If men come from Mars,
And women from Venus?
in nature, males and females also live.
On two different planets.
But one fine day,
Or maybe one night?
they'll have to cross paths.
Because even here, it's hard to escape the irresistible urge to reproduce.
No, males and females are not always born equal on the savannah. So what's better for elephant calves? Lion and cheetah cubs? Or hyena pups? And little baboons? To be born male or female? The truth is that nothing's ever simple, and each species has its own type of surprises. For lions, the education and social status of little males and little females won't necessarily be the same.
Let's cut to the chase. For lions, the heir usually comes first. And at mealtime, he's always the first one served.
And he should enjoy it while it lasts, because lionesses live amongst themselves and always end up kicking out their sons.
The pride's cubs are all born at the same time, and they'll grow up together in that same pride. Nothing distinguishes them from one another at this point. It's hard to know at first glance which one among them will become a ferocious dominant male or the savannah's most ruthless female predator. For now, they're just curious little balls of fur, eager to explore the world. This lizard might be very interesting, but when you're only a month old, Mom still serves as the best playground on the savannah. At first, female and male lion cubs are educated in the same way, but that will change. Starting at 3 months old, males and females are no longer treated equally, especially at mealtime, when the little males seem to have every advantage. Lionesses are much stricter with their daughters, because unlike the male lion cubs, the females may stay in the familial pride their whole lives. So the adults have to teach them good manners early on. At mealtime, the huntresses get priority. The little males are rarely scolded, and they've got to be able to eat until they're full so they grow quickly, and one day have their father's stature. For other ones, it's a whole different story. When it comes to their neighbors, the hyenas, male and female planets set off on different trajectories from birth.
If you're a hyena, it's better to be born a girl. These little ladies are more like tyrants around their brothers.
And they're going to have to get used to girl power, because this female gang never lets the males weigh them down too long.
At first glance, there are no physical distinctions between males and females. They've got the same look and the same anatomy between their legs. But looks can be deceiving, because for hyenas, despite their resemblance, the war of the sexes starts early. For the females, the rules are simple and basic. Power is handed down from mother to daughter, and no matter what, they are always superior to males. So it's best for the males to learn to fall in line at an early age. This little black hyena is getting all the attention, but she's not just any pup. She's the daughter of the dominant female. The whole clan is devoted to her, and as future queen, she can do whatever she wants, even stray from the den, even though it's forbidden. But underneath her innocent, vulnerable airs hides an incredibly strong character. A nasty piece of work with teeth that are already razor sharp. This mini princess has just one thing in mind: torment her brother and all the other little males in the nursery. If the males want to grow up in peace, they've got only one choice: submit without any protest. But it's just the start for these small martyrs. They'll have to stay this humble every day for the rest of their lives. She won't give the young males the slightest break, even during sacred moments of nursing. This little miss will always come first, and not even her mother will have any say in the matter. The small spotted hyenas in this matriarchal society do not begin their existence on equal terms, to say the least. That's far from the case for these cheetah cubs. They're raised by a fair and courageous single mother.
It doesn't really matter if you're born male or female. For cheetahs, there's no preferential treatment.
No matter the gender, the day will come when each one has to find their own way and get by on their own.
Cheetah cubs live life in the fast lane and undergo intensive training because their mother will leave them at 18 months old. They enjoyed their mother's milk for the first 6 weeks of their lives. But these little felines got a taste of flesh very soon after. At 3 months old, they were already weaned and following their mothers on the hunt. Now, at 8 months old, there's no more time to lose. They've got to hone their skills. Unlike the little hyenas, here, brothers and sisters are in the same boat. And missing a hunting trip is out of the question. For a predator, becoming a good catch takes many months of training. In terms of practical work, a new challenge awaits them. They have to carry out a killing. Their mother entrusts them with finishing off the little gazelle. But they are sorely lacking in experience. The clumsy young cheetah is not yet up to speed and lets his prey escape. But his sister is a little more skillful and backs him up without a moment's hesitation. For the time being, they can still count on one another. Unlike with the lions and hyenas, there's no special treatment among brothers and sisters, not even at the table. No stress at all. For a few more months, they'll do everything together and will still have their mother's protection and all her affection. But then, one day, or maybe one night, she'll leave without warning. So they will have to go off and live their own lives, like these 3 young cheetahs in the distance, who are entering adulthood. Like the cheetah cubs, most little herbivores are raised in the same way, whether they're born male or female. But how could it be any other way? They're born as an only child. They'll never have to share their mom with a brother or sister. It's very simple. There won't be any jealousy issues or even the slightest bit of rivalry between young males and females. Giraffe calves, like most little grazers, lack a bit of character. But that's not really the case for elephant calves, who show signs of a strong temperament from the start.
One often wonders just what's gotten into the elephant calves. They never stay still and don't always know what to do with their trunk.
In any case, the females are much less fun. All they care about is pleasing at all costs.
Even if they've been raised together and have the same education from early on, males and females approach life in very different ways. Follow mother's example. Obey when necessary, and charm those around you. The young elephant cows will do anything to keep up their social networks. But male calves are all mud baths, tumbling, and silly antics right next to mom. They're mischievous and turbulent, acting like they're already the kings of the savannah. Little Don Quixotes, always ready to run straight into mirages. And they'd be wrong not to, because these carefree moments never last long enough. Unlike the elephant cows, they'll have to leave the herd one day. So in the meantime, they spend their days trying to make future friends, companions on whom they'll be able to count when they will have to confront the savannah's dangers on their own. In the large baboon community, the young males also end up getting kicked out.
Well, you've got to admit that competition amongst young female baboons really starts out in full gear.
Things are a whole lot easier for the young males. These mama's boys are in no hurry to grow up.
The happy days when everyone adored the black-furred infants are already a thing of the past. The coddling is over now that they're covered with a beigeish coat. That's it for the privileges. They're going to play in the big leagues now. With their pipsqueak physique, the young males are much less precocious than the females. They can spend up to 4 years clinging to their mother's skirts before freeing themselves up even a bit. But the little females have to take responsibility early on. They already look after the youngest one, help their mothers out a lot, and prepare their future. Because unlike the males, they can stay in the troop their whole lives. But they still have to gain acceptance within it. And to do so successfully, they need to practice performing an unavoidable ritual, delousing. Delousing helps promote social cohesion and a feeling of calmness, and everyone has to take part. This beauty ritual reduces tensions. It triggers the production of endorphins and creates an incredible sense of well-being. Needless to say, it's all good. It's a bonding ritual, yes, and an extremely codified one at that. All these young females dream of only one thing: getting close to power, and to the big handsome pasha who incarnates it. Rivalry is inevitable among the young female delousers. A successful grooming session is the best way to get close to high-ranking baboons, and in their good graces. The males stay away from these petty squabbles, but the females take the fight for their social status very seriously. This practice can actually do a whole lot of good, especially since it helps the young rivals reconcile. For now, the young males and females don't harbor the same ambitions. Females don't waste any time and mature fast, to say the least. They can be mothers starting at age 4. Young males of the same age are just starting to feel confident. And then, towards the age of 6, once they've reached adult size and strength, the males go far away from their family and settle in another colony. Before taking on this challenge, the young lions must first pass the most important milestone of puberty.
There you have it. The young lionesses are already starting to go off on their own, already acting like big hunters. But in terms of strategy, they've still got a long way to go.
They already look like their fathers. Ferocious, terrifying, in tip-top shape.
The good old carefree days are coming to an end, and the young males will be the ones to suffer. Because once a mane starts poking out of the top of their head, it means their days among the pride are numbered. Their mothers are too busy with their newborns to worry about the adolescents. It's especially hard to take when you have a clingy nature. They're looking for affection and a little comfort, so they get closer to their brothers and cousins. The steadfast ties they establish amongst themselves will help them when they leave the pride. These are surely the last moments of intimacy and play this young male and his sister will share. In nature, members of the same family don't end up together. Puberty will separate them. Soon, this young male will be pushed towards the exit. Now his pasha father considers him a future rival. this young lion doesn't suspect that these are his last cozy moments with his family. No matter the species, puberty is always a tough period to go through. The young male's raging hormones pose a threat to group peace. So it's time for them to go. For females, staying amongst their clan often comes at a price. Now they'll have to invest themselves 100% in the life of the pride. Some of them will be lucky enough to stay within the community. Others will have to fend for themselves. The time has come for the male and female planets to start their separation. Puberty sets in late for elephants, but when it does come, it makes a grand entrance. Especially for the young males.
And there you go. They can't control themselves anymore. Now all their thinking happens below the belt.
The young females don't realize that they're already making males' heads turn. Males of every age.
The young elephant bulls are jacked up on testosterone, so it's harder and harder for them to stay still. They're wild and incapable of controlling their sexual urges. They don't even think twice about going after the young female cousins. There's no beating around the bush in the herd. The decision is final, and the mothers are quick to kick out the young rowdy bulls. Now he'll lead the life of a vagabond. He'll soon have to find a group of single males to take him under their wing if he wants to get by. By their side, he'll be able to learn the ropes of the dominant's job as well as how to be a future seducer. No matter the species, young males are never really prepared to move into adulthood from one day to the next.
After long training sessions amongst males, it's time for these two to start noticing the young females.
But look how wild they are. Always a bit rebellious and ambivalent.
These two brothers couldn't resist the charms of this beautiful loner. They're intoxicated by the sweet pheromonal perfume she lets out to attract males. These rookies don't know the codes yet and haven't understood that, by lying down, she's inviting them to join her, even though the message is clear. Oh, it's no use. They've just missed a great opportunity. but she's got no intention of leaving the party. These little growls will end up convincing them that it's time to act. The young female hyenas are much less precocious. They won't be ready to frolic before the age of 3 or 4. So the young males will have to manage on their own.
In the hyena world, males are bullied from a very young age. So it's no surprise that some of them turn into real wimps.
And the more males grow up, the harder they get hit.
For spotted hyenas, it's better to be a girl, especially when puberty begins. Because now they're bigger, stronger, and more impressive than males their own age. When you've got the most powerful jaw on the savannah, it's even easier to create terror wherever you go. In this matriarchal society, once again, the males are paying the price. They'd be happy with a bit of carcass to gnaw on, or even an ear. But the females aren't ones for sharing. These bone crunchers are able to devour 15 kilos of meat in one sitting without leaving anything behind. The males will have to wait until the females are full before trying to scrape at a bone or a horn. Things will probably get better later, when they'll leave the comfort of the family circle to integrate another pack. It's springtime. Back to the scorching heat and all of the unbearable insects it brings with it. Even the most ferocious savanna predator isn't spared. It just goes to show there's no match for thirsty mosquitoes.
These lions had no choice. They had to leave the pride. The females and their pasha father literally pushed them out.
And that's where the trouble starts. They know what they're leaving behind, but they don't know what they'll be getting. The young lionesses are lucky. They get to stay with their pride.
This morning, the hyenas were the victims of a holdup. These two vagabonds aren't such good hunters, so they decided to specialize in stealing carcasses. Their take is light, and the sharing of it complicated. Instead of arguing, these two simpletons might want to watch their backs. the hyenas have rallied the whole colony. The cohesion and solidarity of these female warriors is what makes them strong. At 3 years old, these lions are still a long way from reaching their maximum strength. These two thieves will have to surrender if they don't want to lose their hides. The strength of their duo is the only thing that will keep them alive. A male would have a hard time to conquer any territories on his own, and so his chances of mating would be slim. Yes, these big cats have a real dog's life ahead of them. A few kilometers from here, it's a whole other story for their sisters who stayed in the familial pride. Unlike their brothers who have to fend for themselves, these young females with speckled paws can still count on their mother and female solidarity. They have the chance to pursue intensive training. For lionesses, hunting is an art form that starts at a very early age. The young lionesses have really improved, perfectly playing their part to encircle the prey. Passed on from mother to daughter, their hunting strategy is foolproof. The secret? Group cohesion, collective effort, and a perfect division of roles. These tremendous predators have no problems getting provisions. So sometimes they can take it easy and treat themselves to moments of rest and relaxation. Excellent for troop morale. In the savannah school of life, it's clear that males and females do not get equal treatment. Brothers and sisters will now go their separate ways, each one on their own planet. They'll have to become a good catch, because now, whether they're male or female, the ultimate goal is to one day meet a soulmate. It's an uphill battle that these young males will have to fight every day from now on. Over the next years, they'll have just one obsession, becoming the strongest, the dominant male. There are no muscle-flexing contests, fights, or demonstrations of power for these young females. But that doesn't mean that life will always be a bed of roses for them. Day after day, males and females will try to gain the strength and experience necessary to become the most competitive creatures on the market of love. You need to be courageous to take on the savannah alone. especially when you don't have the build for it. So it's usually worth teaming up if you want to get by.
Incredibly rebellious and independent, the young female cheetahs should enjoy their free time now. Pretty soon, they'll have the huge responsibility of raising their cubs.
Living amongst males is all fine and well. You feel stronger. But that also means you have more mouths to feed. That'll be fun.
After months of wandering, it's time for these young males to get their own territory and let the competition know all about it. And this young cheetah gang causes a stir when it moves through the plain, especially among the wildebeest. Their tactic is highly effective. They provoke a state of panic to single out the most vulnerable creature. They won't have time to catch their breath. This coalition of young thugs is no match for a lioness. In gaining the speed it needs to catch its prey, the cheetah has sacrificed strength and the weapons it needed to defend itself. But they're not ready to give up. The lioness might leave a few leftovers behind. You can't win them all, but there's plenty of prey. This exceptional coalition is a real asset for those males entering adulthood. And sometimes, against all odds, joining forces makes them a very good catch. For territorial species, having lots of land is the only way to become a good catch. For hippopotamuses, the kings of promiscuity and irritability, it's essential to find a territory on which you can pack an entire harem.
They're so territorial that they'd claim rights to a foot bath. But that's not glamorous enough to sweep a female off her feet.
They prefer large spaces and Olympic-sized pools, so they're never in a rush to get back to their filthy, overcrowded harem.
No puddle is too small a territory for a hippopotamus bull to defend if he wants females to settle down there, and especially to reproduce. Provided that the watering hole isn't already occupied. This hippopotamus is in search of a domain to take up residence on and ready to throw out its owner. They better have a thick hide, because it looks like this will be a bloody battle. These two scarred titans could kill one another for control over this watering hole. Now the winner just has to hope that a female passerby will want to take a bath. After several years of wandering, the lions have built up their strength. Their sideburns have grown out, and they're ready to fight for the lioness's affection.
This old pasha at the end of his career has turned into a real domestic tyrant with everyone except his favorite. He doesn't let out a roar in front of her. But after 4 years of conjugal life, it's time for things to change.
Make way for the young, that's enough. He's done his time.
At 5 years old, the male lions are impressive. These two are the whole package: strength, power, and incredible sex appeal. Good timing, because this lioness in heat passing by in the distance is doing everything she can to get attention. One of the two lions hurries to follow her, seduced by the pheromones she's just spread. The rule for avoiding arguments in a coalition is simple. It's first come, first served. The lioness leads them to her territory. But she belongs to the pride run by the old tyrannical male. This female in estrus could instigate a coup by attracting these two. It all comes down to this for these two young males. They've got the perfect opportunity to overthrow this pasha. But there's no way he'll accept this budding romance. the old male ended up surrendering. For the winners, it's time for a well-deserved rest. Gone are the days of wandering and struggle. Next to his sweet companion, the new king will be able to heal his wounds. This veteran's reign is over. Now he's alone and condemned to exile. For this young and newly formed couple, a whole new adventure begins. And so things have come full circle. After being separated for so long, males and females have finally found one another. They were able to align their planets and will join in the ultimate goal of reproducing and then perpetuating their species.